Rob Reiner, prolific director, meathead from All in the Family, was brutally murdered in his home with his wife. Their throats were slashed. It's pretty effing, and then like that's on top of the shooting at Is it Bondi Beach? I want to say Bondi, but it's Bondi Beach. The targeting of Jews on Bondi Beach on Hanukkah. 15 people dead, 10-year-old girl. Cops very slow to respond. A citizen had to disarm one of them. It's just fucking tragic. So, yes, Rob Reiner's wife, brutally murdered in their home. And I have not checked in the last hour. I know their middle son, Nick, who a movie was based on called Being Charlie, is the suspect. He has famously had a history of addiction problems, homelessness. And I'm going to tell you right now, this is not the first time. It's not the first time Hollywood's heard this story. As a matter of fact, the actor who played Tarzan and Doc Savage, his son killed his mom just a few years ago. But it's like, I can't tell you how many times I've heard this story in meetings. I mean, it's not just a couple of times, it's countless. Now, they didn't all end up in murder, but sons, daughters, attacking their parents who are suffering from addiction happens more than you want to know. It's everything about it is horrific. I'm not going to make a ton of judgments about their kid. I'm just going to say I saw interviews with him last night, and boy didn't look right. Let's just be real. Beyond addiction, that boy didn't look right. But addiction is evil. And while, and I've talked about this before, it is a disease. It is a mental brain disease, but it's a disease that requires a conscious decision. So it's not something that any addict can say, well, it wasn't me, it was the disease. It's still you. It's still you. The disease portion is right up there with like OCD. It's some people can drink a half a beer and leave it at the bar and walk away and not even think about it. That's a person who's not an addict. An addict will drink that beer, ask you if you're going to finish and then think about that next one constantly. It's an obsession. But often, more than often, 100% of the time, alcohol and drugs are but a symptom of a much larger problem. Much larger problem. What that problem is with the kid, don't know. Not going to get into it. I know there's certainly stuff going around online, but there's absolutely no proof. Absolutely no proof of that. I've heard this story a lot, but point I'm getting to is while you're high and just in the thralls of addiction, it's not just high. I mean, we're talking strung out, probably been high 30 days in a row. An addict is capable of doing insane shit that if they were sober the next day, they would be horrified. They would be horrified. Now, does that separate them from their behavior while they're high? No. You're still like aware. I'm still aware of what I'm doing, completely aware. But what it does is it lowers inhibitions. It destroys judgment. And think of addiction is, that's why vampires are really good for addiction. Like a good analogy for addiction. Constantly having to feed. You wake up in the morning, you need to feed. You need drugs. That's the priority of your day. You can't go to work unless you're high. You can't go to a freaking movie with your kid unless you're high. Like nothing happens unless you're high. You have to feed. And the beast must be fed all the time. And that takes the priority. And then it leads to, of course, your judgment's bad. You're not sleeping. You're high all the time. Your brain's fucked. And it leads you to do insanely evil things sometimes. And I'm just guessing. There might have been a lot of resentment. Nepo baby, rich kid, tons of privilege. But the problem is, and I was discussing this with another person who's famous last night, and that person's like, I would never raise my kids in Hollywood. And if you really think about it, this person said, I can't say exactly, but like they made a conscious decision, like there's no way in hell I'm going to raise my kids in Beverly Hills. That must be like the worst place to grow up. And if you think about, well, you're rich, but yeah, it warps your children. Look how many well-adjusted kids come out of Hollywood, period. It's a very, very small percentage. That town eats children. Metaphorically. But it eats children. And I wouldn't raise your kids around there. And this is a very wise, famous person who said, nope. As a matter of fact, I'm not even going to be in that effing state. And it's like, smart move. And by all accounts, really good, normal kids. Rob Reiner was a great director. Like that guy had a run in the 80s. That was, if Steven Spielberg wasn't around, they would call it a Reiner run instead of a Spielbergian run. It was pretty incredible. His diversity of talent and, politically, like, which everybody's going to bring up. I've never agreed with the guy, like, ever. And he's always been like that. He's always been your classical Hollywood liberal, right? Loved his dad, too, Carl Reiner. And he's a Nepo baby, too. Was. Yeah, watching that and what happened on Bondi Beach. Grim day. No other words. What's going to be more grim is the reaction. So we saw the reaction to Charlie Kirk's murder, and I'm already starting to not as much. Believe me, not as much. But I am seeing a couple people like are a good riddance and fuck him. And it's like you could be. Ryan talked about it earlier. You could be indifferent. Indifference is fine. Celebration is inhuman. Addiction isn't a disease. That's ridiculous. It actually is, but again, it requires some explanation because it's a mental disease. Okay, so what people rush to is like, and I have to constantly explain this, but I have no problem doing it. Is when they hear addiction's disease, it's like, oh, you're not taking any responsibility for your problems. That's not the kind of disease. It's not like cancer. All right, so it's a disease, but we're not calling it a disease like cancer. Something you don't have any choice in. It is a disease that requires a conscious decision. Then you are still fully responsible for all of your behavior. But it's a disease. It's a mental disease. It's like OCD, obsessive compulsive. It's a brain chemistry thing. Bro, I fucking wish I could just, fucking spark a joint and not think about it or drink half a beer. But here's the sense it's a disease, my brother. If I went out and just said, fuck it, one night, I like alcohol, for instance. Never been a big fan of alcohol. The only time I ever got drunk is as a backup to get high. Like if I ran out of drugs and I had nothing else, I just got some booze. But if I'm like, hey, fuck it, I don't like alcohol that much. I'll just drink this one night. There is 100% chance I will be knee deep in blow with my wife hunting me down to kill me in Vegas. All of my money will be spent and I will be looking for meth and heroin within a week. That ain't normal. So when I relapsed hard, there's a thing called, it's not only a disease, it's a progressive disease. And what is a progressive disease? No, not the disease of progressivism. That's a different thing. It's a progressive disease. So the addiction continues to grow even if you are sober. And you're going, what the hell are you talking about? What are you talking about, crazy man? The addiction progresses as if you were still doing drugs, even if you're sober. What do I mean? Okay. I jumped back into it after years and years of being sober. And within a very short amount of time, under a week, remember, haven't done any speed at this point for, God, I was sober longer than I got now. We're talking like 15 years. So I went from doing a little bump about this big. Within a week, I'm doing rails this big, enough to kill a fucking horse. That's the progressiveness. It caught right back up to where it left off. Not as it left off, but if it had kept going that whole 15 years. It's a progressive disease. But if you don't want to believe it's a disease, that's fine. It's no skin off my back. I mean, I can't tell you how many times, and like this is just part of life. I've accepted it, and it's like really, this is said with no judgment, but like, why don't you just quit? Why don't you just stop? You're not tough enough. You lack the mental fortitude. I'm like, maybe, but it's different for addicts, and they don't get a ton of sympathy. They really don't. And you know what? The behavior, they don't really deserve any. That's the thing, is you can whine and moan about being an addict all you want in the meetings and all that. It's like, we don't deserve sympathy. Or why do we deserve sympathy? You know, maybe from our moms and dads, but from like the world, from the general public, well, look at how we're acting, you know, like, come on. But you want to encourage people to recover. That's the part you want to encourage. If you are so inclined. But people don't understand addicts. It's like, it's not their fucking job. It's our job to get sober. For the rest of my fucking life, I'm going to hear, because I'm open about it. I mean, you know, I'm here. I'm a felon and meth head. And it's like, yep, I definitely was, for sure. You can't expect everybody to understand, and especially, and you work through that in recovery. Believe me, when you're doing your amends, and you know, you try to call somebody or write them a letter, and they just tell you to fuck off in the most eloquent ways, and you go, "Yep, I should fuck off." Yep, I deserve that. But Rob Reiner did not deserve that. I don't care. I agree with Chrissy. Having to preface this with, I don't like his I don't expect many people to like his politics. He's a fucking Hollywood liberal, or was. But at least he showed sympathy towards Charlie Kirk's death and did not celebrate it. Actually did quite the opposite and told people and condemned people who were celebrating it. So that, I mean, that's the kind of decent person you want. You don't have to, you know, agree with people's fucking politics. We don't want to be like them. I don't want to be like them anyway.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me.